Hey there, I'm Charlotte, the Gulf Coast Granny. This morning I'm sitting in my porch swing and I'm contemplating all the work that I have to do out here in the garden. It's been a while since I've been in the garden, and sometimes things in the garden are not always lush and beautiful and producing. Sometimes there's a lot of work to do, like this fence back here that got finally destroyed by the Hurricane Ida that just came through. Now, of course, we didn't take a direct hit, but we did get bad weather and wind. And as you can see, my fence is pretty much destroyed. It's okay, though. Those are cheap. We have another one in the shed, and we're ready to replace it as soon as Poppy gets around to it. And since I'm not a YouTuber that just wants to show all the good things in the garden, let's show some of the hard work that needs to be done and some of the mess that needs to be cleaned up, okay? So yesterday I had to do some weed eating, and I really only did the main paths through here and around the back and up the side there, but I bet you the weeds were about a foot tall in this garden. And the lawnmower can't come through because the pathways are so narrow, so I have to use the weed eater to cut it. And of course, as you can see back here, I did not move anything, so I'm going to have to do that today. This bed here was kind of put in real quickly, so we didn't use any weed cloth underneath it. And it is full of grass and weeds. See those round ones? Those are dollar weeds. Those are my arch nemesis because they're almost impossible to get rid of. The okra does seem to be doing fairly well, though. Look at that. It's nice and green, and it's not really tall yet, but I did get it in fairly late. But I've got some little ones coming up there, and that's about to flower. And there's an okra that I probably will be able to pick tomorrow or the next day. This is a good example of how tall my weeds were all throughout the garden. Because yesterday when I was weed eating, I did not move the box and weed eat inside of it. Here's another good example. These are the watermelons that I planted a month and a half ago or so, and they did nothing. They did nothing over here, probably because it's too shady. Maybe because they're in containers. I don't know. But I'm going to pull all these out and use the soil somewhere else. I'll show you in a few minutes. These are the collard greens that I started from seed. And they're growing slowly, but I just fertilized them yesterday. And they should be fine as the season progresses. Look at this pepper bed. Y'all, I put myself in a pickle with this pepper bed. Do you see all the grass and weeds covering the bottom of the bed? I put this fencing down to keep the cats out. And then I planted the pepper plants in the little squares. Well, now I can't move the fencing to pull the weeds. Lesson learned. I don't know how I'm going to get in there and get those weeds out without destroying the pepper plants. If I take the fence up, well, that's just not going to work. The pepper plants are too big. I'll figure it out. I didn't use the blower and blow the concrete yesterday after weed eating, so it's covered in debris, which is fine. I'll get to it. And Poppy decided to put 15 bags of soil right in my pathway to get to the other side of the garden. So we're going to walk this way. These are my zipper peas. And what I'm doing is just letting these zipper peas dry on the vine and saving the seeds for next year. These are my fall tomatoes, and they look really good. I can't complain at all. All of these are celebrity tomatoes. And look at this basil plant. Can you believe this? I thought she was dead. She was getting all dry and crispy, and the leaves were falling off. And then we had this storm, and she came back to life. And I am going to harvest and dry some of those leaves so I can, use them later. No sense in letting the whole plant go to waste. Yesterday, this bed was covered in weeds. So I pulled them all out, and then I added fertilizer, turned everything over, and now it's ready for seeds. My zinnias are in sad, sad shape, y'all. This is where the mustard greens were. Some of them are still in there. But do you see those dollar weeds? They are coming up through the holes in the bottom of this swimming pool. That is annoying. So I moved the mustard greens that I wanted to a different container, and I'm going to use this soil in that empty bed. And I'm also going to bring the watermelon soil over here. I got this one filled up and it's ready for seeds. I need to amend this soil so it can be ready for seeds. And here are my little tiny mustard green plants that I salvaged from the swimming pool garden. I fertilized those the other day because they're not really growing very quickly. But I think the reason is that area over there is still in shade and it's 10:30 in the morning. This is in full sun. So hopefully these plants will get a bit of a boost from moving them. Now, the thing I'm the most excited about is, do you see that pile of wood right there? Those are 2x8x10s. And they are going to be a garden bed to fill up this space right here. Finally, my long-awaited last garden bed. And Poppy's going to be building that this weekend. And that's what all that soil up there is for, is to fill the bed. One thing we need to do is buy some topsoil and fill this very, very low area right here, because when it rains, that fills up with water. And if we're going to put another bed here, it needs to be a little bit more level. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it'll be really nice to level that off, build our new bed, and then remulch everything. Then the garden will be absolutely complete, at least for this season. So that's the good, bad, and the ugly in the garden this month. Today is wonderfully cool outside, so I'm going to finish the weed eating, and I'm going to blow off the concrete as much as I can without having to move all of the soil. And then I think I'm going to plant these 45-day cabbages. I found these at Walmart, and I grew this 45-day cabbage about 3 years ago. And it was one of the best cabbages I've ever eaten. And I was so tickled when I found this, so I'm going to be planting it for fall. I'm also going to be planting some beets. Y'all keep your fingers crossed, because I'm the worst beet grower on the planet. I've never been able to get a beet to make a root. I can get the tops, but I can't get the root. So hopefully this year I've got enough compost in there and enough additives, fertilizer, the whole 9 yards, to be able to grow some beets. So I'll give y'all a peek at the garden when I'm all finished and the new bed's up. Y'all have a great day and get out there and grow something, all right?